Are you ready to unlock the top ways that real estate investors use to fund more deals? By knowing this information, you could up your real estate game and go way further than the pack. So we all know, get a bank loan, buy a property. Hell, that's how I got started. But that's not the best way. And we know that banks always ask for endless paperwork. You have to have the right credit score. You may or may not need a down payment and things of that nature. So it's like, yo, man, listen, I just want to get the property. I don't want to go through this whole process. But what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you exactly how you could avoid banks, not have to practice traditional real estate, and really up your buy and hold game or your fix and flip game. By the end of this video, you're going to have enough techniques where you can go out and start implementing them immediately so you can start leveraging these deals without a bank or without guaranteeing or depending on your personal credit. Number one, seller financing. So if you're looking at that house behind me, the seller sold me that back in 2015 for $45,000. I know, I recently did some upgrades, so it's not the same $45,000 house. However, I've been able to keep that property because he seller financed it to me. What does that mean? Well, he sold it to me for $45,000. I gave him $5,000 down, okay? $5,000 down, and then he held the payments for it until I refinanced him out of that loan, okay? So with seller financing, he never had to check on my credit. The $5,000 down was my skin in the game. Now, you can do this with money down or without money down, but I put that down. Or if you're in a situation like, yo, I don't even have $5,000, well, you could go borrow from somebody else or partner with somebody else, and you don't have to go to a bank. So then he said, all right, well, this is what I'm gonna do. I am gonna put the loan on a 15-year amortization schedule. What does that mean? So on your personal residence, you probably get a 30-year traditional mortgage. That means the payments are spread out over 30 years. Well, what he did it on a 15-year. So my payment was about, with taxes and insurance, about $389 or so on this particular property with taxes and insurance. And I was paying a typically higher than normal interest rate. Now, as far as that interest rate, let me tell you this. Sometimes there would be 0% interest rate. Sometimes there'd be a lower interest rate, or sometimes maybe a higher interest rate. It just all depends on what you negotiate, okay? In this case, the guy was a little bit more sophisticated, so he wanted a higher interest rate. And then what I did was, once we closed, I fixed it up and I rented it out. And by me renting it out, and now I own the property and he owns the mortgage on it, well, I got the equity and he got his mortgage payments. It was a win-win for everybody. He didn't want anything to do with the house, and I wanted ownership of the house, okay? So that's seller financing. So I'm gonna repeat that one more time. You find a property, you negotiate with the seller. The seller is gonna hold the mortgage, all right? How do you get the seller to hold the mortgage? Well, you just say, hey, Mr. Seller, are you open to taking your equity in monthly installments? What does that mean? What if I can pay you monthly for the property? I know you say you want $100,000, but what if I can pay you monthly? What kind of down payment you talking? Or he might say, all right, I'm interested, I want to hear more. And then you don't mention the down payment, and you get the property like that. So believe me, I have gotten these things without down payment, so you can do it. But that's seller financing. Number two, subject to investing. Hypothetically speaking, let's say that a seller is losing their property, okay? They lose it to the pre-foreclosure, or the payments are getting too much for them. And you step in and you say, hey, Mr. Seller, I see that you're currently going through some legal issues with the property. Legal issues meaning foreclosure. So what if I can save your credit and give you some money, move on with your life? Or sometimes you don't have to offer any money and you just save their credit. So I'm gonna walk you through a real life example that I've done. I met a seller, they wanted to get rid of the property. They tried selling it, they couldn't sell it. I said, hey, what if I could take over your payments? Would that be helpful? And they said, absolutely, to save my credit. I worked so hard for this. I said, okay, so, all right, this is what we do. And I explained it to him just like this. The deed is going to change into one of my companies, okay? And but the debt is gonna stay in your name and I'm gonna make the payments. What we did next, we went to closing, all right? I didn't have to give them any money, all right? And I made the payments. Everything I said I was gonna do, I did, okay? I told them, hey, listen, in 5 years, I'll get this out of your name. In 5 years, I was refinancing that property and taking the debt in my name. But you could do it for the life of the loan. That's just something I did. I try my best to keep my word. If I couldn't refinance it, I would have sold it, but I would have kept my word, okay? Whatever we agreed to, that's what I would have done, all right? So that is subject to investing. Subject to investing is when as the deed is going to change it to your entity, and from the deed changing into your entity, the debt is going to stay in their name and you make the payments. Now, some people are going to want $10,000, $20,000 down, 30, 40, whatever you negotiate, or no money. So it just all depends, all right? Number 3, private money sources. Could be family, friends, or just somebody who lends money on real estate. Now, if you come where I come from, people will be like, well, just go to your family and friends, and your family and friends have no money. Well, what you can do is you can meet what's called private lenders, right? Where do you meet private lenders at? You meet them at real estate events, okay? You can go on sites like meetup.com, all right? Go to real estate events. Look for private lenders, okay? Stand up and say, hey, is there any private lenders or do you know any in the room? Because they can fund your real estate deals. All right, now, I own more than 10 rental properties. However, you can only have 10 property loans in your name if you're doing it the traditional way. But if you're doing it with private money or local banks, you can have as many properties as you're able to afford and as good as your tax return look. I had met a guy when I was newer. He had 50 properties. He said, man, I never went to the bank for a loan. He said, never, you know, because he does seller financing subject to, and he used private money source. So a private money source is basically something outside the traditional banking system. So your uncles, your friends, a private money lender that you met at a real estate event, etc. Somebody you know that just may have a lot of money. You like, yo, listen, right now you're earning 4%, but what if I can pay you 8%? This is what I need for you to do. You lend on this real estate deal and I'm gonna pay you 8%. You know, or I'll just promise him a flat fee, or hey, I'll give you X amount back, etc. You know, so that is your private money source. Number 4 is one of those that a lot of people have access to, but not everybody uses, okay? And not everybody should use, but it's pulling money from a credit card. What you're going to do, call them up and ask for, hey, do you do a balance transfer? Or is there a promotion on a balance transfer? Hopefully it's 0%. What is a balance transfer? A balance transfer is you're transferring them over some debt from one credit card to them, because credit card companies make money when you're in debt. So ultimately they just want the debt. So let's say you call your credit card. Now let's say you have a limit of $15,000, right? On 3 different credit cards, right? And you say, hey, listen, I want to do a balance transfer. They say, how much you need? You know, some of them still old school and send out checks. Some of them are transferred right into your account, right? Well, you can take $10,000 from that credit card. You could probably take more, but I'm just saying do $10,000, right? And let's say you did that over 3 credit cards. Now you got $30,000. Now let's say you live in a place whereas you can get a house for $20,000. Well, you got $20,000 to buy the house and you got $10,000 to fix it up and then sell it. You know, or maybe just clean it up a little bit and sell it and pay off the credit cards. Or that $30,000 you take on credit cards, plus combining one of the previous strategies, the seller financing, the subject to, the private money, the $30K may be your fix-up money, and now you don't need anybody. You fix the house up, you pay everything back, and now you walk away with $40,000 in your pocket. Hey, $40K, that's a down payment on a new life. Things are starting to look bright, you know? So with that being said, credit cards used the right way can be a great strategy to hold properties if you know how to manage money, all right? So what I want you to do at this time is I want you to click on that video right next to me, man, and I'll see you in the next vid. But comment below, have you used any of these strategies? I'm Nasser, AKA the Real Estate Guru. I'm not a guru, I'm a doer because I actually do this business. Peace.